we're so excited to be here today. Thanks everybody for coming and listening about what is set jetting, as was said, and what really that entails is how we can leverage productions, TV show, Hollywood, whatever it might be, in your destination to drive visitation to the destination. So it's not just about being on the TV show or having the TV show or the movie or whatever it might be produced in destination, but how does that affect people actually arriving in market and ultimately what we want them to do, stay the night, right? And so can we leverage hotel stays and can we leverage airfare as well, right? So that's really what we're all about here and what we're going to share today. So as we dive into things, let's set the stage a little bit.
Top Chef is back.
So I thought about doing an entire episode. We just watched Top Chef. But Alex on my team said, don't do that. You get 15 seconds of the show, Josh. But that's just a little quick tease of Top Chef, because that's really what got us here. And so what we are going to cover briefly here over the next few minutes is, one, how Milwaukee and Wisconsin recruited and got Top Chef Season 21, thanks to Diana's support. And then we're going to look into the search for an agency and a data partner that could help us measure that ROI, that specific thing we're talking about. Could we get hotel nights and could we get airfare to come into our destination because Top Chef was in our destination? And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit about how Adara was the one who solved that riddle for us and made it all happen and got us some tremendous ROI results to share with all of you today. So Diana, I'm going to turn it to you to give us a little bit about how even does a show like Top Chef arrive in Milwaukee?
So Wisconsin's a little of a storied history, which I'm sure Josh is really sick of me telling, but I'm going to tell it again. So I've been working on the show for, I don't know, since season 3, so a long time. And we, season to season, we look for different destinations. My husband's from Madison, Wisconsin. So around like season 6 or 7, we were like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? Let's go to Wisconsin. It's like, we haven't even been to DC. Like, we think we need to really, hit some major markets. But either way, I'm gonna ring up Wisconsin and see what's happening. I feel like the state and the city wasn't ready for us. We're a big, giant production. We liken ourselves to a film production. We are on stage. We are on location. We are in shop. We are in house reality. It's huge. But cut to, 2018, I think it was, I heard from the state and the city, and they said, we're ready. I said, okay, we're going to make this happen. Give me a season or 2 to figure it out, but we're going to make it happen. And that's how it all came to be. It does come with some support. We are a 10 to 14 episode commercial for your destination. If you know the show at all, even just watching what you're watching right now, you know that we do everything in state and in city, from recruiting cast members to bringing in guest judges to incorporating the flavor, the ag, the dairy, all of it into the season. But the way that we make it happen is through relationships, and forming those relationships over time is essential. Having conversations in advance, making sure that the state and destination, the city is, I shouldn't say state, it could be international city, we've done that a few times. They're ready for us, and they're excited. Obviously, with the onset of like James Beard coming to different, James Beard had just hit up Milwaukee a few years prior, so like they were getting the accolades that they should get, so that was definitely beneficial. But with the onset, also Michelin coming to town for different areas of the country, that's been helpful. But it's a multifaceted onion, but I feel like the time was right, and we made it happen.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of method of we were just earlier today, discussing meetings, conventions, marketing. There's a similar element when recruiting a show to the community. We had a lot of site tours and showcasing all the restaurants, getting partners on board. It was very similar to recruiting meeting or convention or a sports tournament to the city. And so that was a big element as well, is that showcase, that having that local partner. For us, it was a local chef, Paul Bartolotta, who used to run a restaurant here at the Wynn and is a Milwaukee native. He helped bring the show, having that local partner and that local connection really helped open the doors as well. And so it was really just multifaceted opportunity. What was the biggest selling point, though? Like, did you have a moment where you're like, yeah, Milwaukee, this has got to happen now?
You know, I had been to Milwaukee a few years prior, visiting my in-laws, and we were there, and we're like, this is such a great city. But then when we came back, when you guys brought us back for that scout, it was an immediate recognition of, wow, this city has really, it is emerged. It is here. It is ready for a big show like ours. I would say, I think meeting a lot of your local chefs that were gaining that sort of notoriety, and I think the summits that you brought us to, like we had, and don't be jealous, we had like a beer summit where we had like a bunch of people, a bunch of different beer makers in a room letting us try, and then we had a cheese summit. So our scouts are really hard. Custard summit. And so those were really, just to be able to look at the destination and say, wow, like there's a lot, this is a challenge. This is a challenge. This is going to be a point of interest. This is going to be somewhere we visit. That I think knowing that those points could be met within a season, that was it for us.
We had a big, those who may have heard me speak at other conferences about this opportunity, I'm a big believer in the yes and of improv, right? So anytime Diana or anyone from the Top Chef production company said, hey, can you do this? We said, yep, and what else? Yes, what else? Oh, you need a warehouse? Yes, we'll help you find a warehouse. Oh, you need hotel rooms? Yes, we'll help you source the hotel rooms. That's so much of the hospitality industry, and for a convention and visitors bureau, I think, it really lends to that support of the production companies, right? Making it easy for you to come to town when we don't typically host it. Yeah. How was that process, and how was it able to make it easier for you to convince the network and others to jump on board?
Yeah. So, as I said before, we are a really, really large crew. We are about 150 to 180 deep, including talent and everyone on the executives, everyone under the sun. And we have a lot of hotel rooms, which I will say also lends itself to the destination for an incredible give back. Whatever sort of support is ever provided, it is put back tenfold into the destination. But having a destination, as Josh said, that's ready to help us. If we need 7,000 room nights in a period of 8 weeks, it's a tall ask, especially when it's the middle of summer in Milwaukee. But they definitely came to the table and said, we're going to help you make this happen. Come hell or high water, we're going to make this happen.
That's right. Yeah, there was no in our vocabulary, for sure.
There couldn't be at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So we really wanted to obviously capitalize on what would transpire, that set jetting. So we knew recruiting the show, a storied show, that had a great following and an international audience and a streaming audience that would live on in perpetuity. How do we capitalize on that, right? How do we build our content on our website? How do we make sure people will come and visit Milwaukee afterwards? And one data point here that stuck out is that travelers say they will take trips specifically because they saw it on a show, and this helped leverage our locals to understand the investment we were making. It's not cheap, it's not easy, it's a lot of work to host a show. And we wanted to capitalize and get all of our constituents statewide throughout all of Wisconsin on board. So we had to have some of these data sets, these things that say, yes, people are traveling to the destination. This goes back to Field of Dreams, right? Like Iowa, right? You build it, they will come. People still go to the Field of Dreams because of the movie and book so many years ago. So we wanted to capitalize on that and find a way to do it. Now, how do we tell that story, and how do we sort of prove that people actually came? That's where Adara comes in.
Yeah, and to your point, I think we all understand there is that halo effect. Like it is going to drive visitation, but what is the number? What is the actual outcome? And for those who don't know, I spent more than 9 years at Visit St. Pete Clearwater before going to Adara, and I believed so passionately in the ability as a DMO to kind of think creatively about how to reach the traveler, creating content based in the destination. We created a scripted TV show that aired on Amazon called Life's Rewards. I wish I could have used this measurement then. It didn't quite exist. But yeah, using Adara's data, we get data direct from hoteliers and airlines and OTAs to be able to understand bookings, searches, revenue, et cetera. But what we don't have and what we're missing is the actual audience TV consumption data. And that's where a company called Samba TV comes into play. And really quick, let me step back. And Josh, I don't know if you were going to touch on this or not, and we kind of teased it on one of the slides. This was born out of an 8-minute conversation. The measurement piece was born out of an 8-minute conversation at eTourism Connect like a year and a half ago in San Francisco. Josh, and first time we had met, I gave him my standard Adara spiel, and he's like, actually, can you do this? And I was like, I think so. So insert Samba TV, if you want to go to the next slide, pairing our booking data with the audience consumption data. So really cool, Samba's technology that's built into televisions that are sold, and they can actually give us a file of people, identities, that consume Top Chef. We took that file, and we can then match it to our identities to say, okay, this household, this ID, this device ID consumed the show, and then ultimately made a search or a booking for Milwaukee. Closing the gap between, okay, we think it's driving visitation, but actually answering that question in a really powerful and innovative way.
Yeah, it was so exciting because when we had the conversation at eTourism Summit, plug eTourism Summit, y'all here, y'all gonna make great connections. We said I had used Adara in the past just for standard digital advertising to get those reports, and I posed the question to you. It was like, any way you can do that for Top Chef? I've got Top Chef coming. I got to quantify it. And being able to talk to a partner directly at a conference like this was so valuable to have that quick conversation. The Chinese food was amazing too, but it was so valuable to be like, okay, how can we solve this problem together in a really dynamic way?
Yeah, and I'll give you credit here. Just being able to, thinking along those lines. I think a lot of DMOs just stop at that big idea, but being able to, I always say, doing this measurement, it isn't the end all be all, right? But when you have the data that we're going to share, it gives you more leverage, more leeway to do the really fun, creative things that are not cheap, that stakeholders ultimately, over time, will ask, well, what is this really doing in terms of hotel nights, right? And I know it's not a question you start the conversation with, but at some point through that creative idea, whatever that may be, if you can address the ROAS, the ROI, your life is going to be a million times easier. And so we've got some results here to share. I think no short of remarkable in terms of what we were able to track. Does it mean it was the sole reason they visited? No. Nobody's trying to take 100% credit for anything. But understanding that they consumed the show and then ultimately arrived in market, and to what degree, very powerful. You could see the hotel revenue, the different bookings, incredible stuff. Josh, was this more, less? What was it on the target for you?
Yeah, I mean, this was obviously outstanding results, right? We knew people would be inspired by the show, and of course, Diana has known that for 21, 22 seasons now in production, and these numbers are absolutely amazing. Now, again, these are estimated hotel revenue numbers, the 39 million in revenue, but be able to show that to our state, to our stakeholders. We had the Cranberry Association, the Dairy Association, all these stakeholders who helped make it happen, help bring the show to life, for them to see that their investment paid off, that it really truly is moving these bookings. Our airport, who, I don't think even registered to them that it was going to impact the airport, because they were like, oh, it's a restaurant show, right? Like, this shows directly that it's bringing flights to our destination. And convincing our hotel partners, as all of you know, is always an effort that can be difficult at times to let them know that we are bringing ROI. This shows that we have actual bookings. And the great thing is, so this attribution period started when the show debuted. So when the first episode airs, we start to track. When it goes, when 100 days passed, do you remember what the calculation was?
Yeah, and actually Alex would know better than I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest with you. But it's really of your choosing. How big do you want the window to be post, show that final episode airing? Yeah. I know you've got some origin market data that you can share as well. So not only can you see where the quantity, but where people are coming from. And I think when you see that people from markets far from home are consuming the show and arriving, and maybe some non-traditional markets for you guys as well, is very powerful.
I mean, yeah, it was really exciting to see this data. Obviously, having Orlando, having Las Vegas as our number 2, people in Vegas watching the show and saying, we're going to fly to Milwaukee. That's really exciting for us. It really helped extend the brand. I'm sure Diana, you'd probably love to see this, how the brand goes throughout the country.
I'm in love with Adara right now. I mean, for me, this is information that I'm asked every single time, and it's for some. I can only give anecdotal, and the anecdotal evidence is it's amazing and astounding and beautiful, but it's not data. You need data.
Yeah.
You need hard facts. So we really like you.
Yeah, we're going to probably enter into some partnership. So, for every show that you sell in, hey, we'll provide some sort of measurement for you, right?
For us as Visit Milwaukee, it was even great. So we saw those origin markets where people were coming from, but then we also worked through the tracking. We got to see, because we had actual bookings through Adara's partners, we could see where they were staying, where they were booking those hotels when they were in our market too, which was fantastic for us because you can see on here we have Milwaukee, but we also have Wauwatosa, which is one of our area partners. So they're a partner with us. We are an extension of their DMO. We have West Allis, which we work with their city and their city tourism department. We have Whitefish Bay and the Glendale area. That's our Discover the North Shore CVB partner. And then Oak Creek, so that's a growing CVB partner in Milwaukee County as well. So we could see that this was impacting the hotels, not just for the city of Milwaukee, but the entire county, which helped then tell our story to our partners throughout the area, which was fantastic. And so it really showed that people didn't just fly in and just stay in downtown. They were all over our county coming and staying, which was really, really encouraging for us. And the production did a great job of showcasing, not just downtown too. You took, the crew went all over.
We did.
Yeah, and that was an intentional thing with Travel Wisconsin and with
Always is.
Milwaukee. You wanted to showcase so much of it. You would think, like, what happened down in Oak Creek? Well, there were some beaches down in that area on the south side of Milwaukee that you filmed on, and obviously the production studio that was in a warehouse in Oak Creek, and obviously people don't know that, but they could be staying in a hotel across the street from where the show was filmed, and they don't even know it now because it's just back to a warehouse, which is so fun. But seeing people move through the city is really dynamic. So,
And I think one just real quick point of clarification when it comes to Adara is this isn't geolocation data, right? It is data directly tied to the hotel. So it's not that, people were staying in Milwaukee and then made their way out into these other communities. No, they paid for a hotel room in that community, and they're driving definitive economic impact.
So as we had the conversation about Top Chef, we knew that was coming last year in Milwaukee. We also knew the Republican National Convention was coming to the city, and we said, well, if there's one show that's going to be, everybody's going to be watching in the summer, because we knew everybody was watching Top Chef. There was no competition of Top Chef in the spring. But in the summer, after Top Chef, the season finale was already done. Diana, don't worry. RNC came. Would people watch the RNC on TV? Would they watch the speeches? Would they see the political convention? And then the same thing. So we tasked Adara with the same thing. Let's see how the coverage of the Republican National Convention on TV would impact travel. So it came, and so we got the results there as well. And so looking at total attribution, so what is the total result? So this is Top Chef included. So we'd studied the RNC, we studied Top Chef, and then we have our own TV show. Leroy said you had your own TV show at one point. We do our own TV show, Good Things Brewing, that we show regionally. We said, what if we track all three of those major TV moments we had and then see what the total result was? I think it's pretty astounding.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. And I think maybe the RNC, again, Top Chef, I think is super aspirational for a lot of destinations, right? But there are so many destinations who host events, televised events, and maybe that starts to get the gears turning about other extensions of this, right? So the NFL draft that's in Green Bay this week and being celebrated all over Wisconsin, including Milwaukee. How is that going to drive visitation? You know that Green Bay and the state has invested a lot of money to bring that event, F1 here in Vegas. Obviously, those are some big ones, but you can think about the maybe professional sports teams, whatever those. If it's being aired on TV, people are consuming it and potentially driving visitation. We can measure it and help understand that impact on the other end.
Yeah, you really get to truly see the value. So how do we move forward, right? We had these moments and we had these opportunities come to us, and so thanks to the crew and Diana and your team, we were able to leverage the yeses into some more yeses, right? And so. How did the production crew feel at the end of Top Chef, and why did you want to help bring some more shows back?
I mean, everyone loved working in Wisconsin. They loved living in Milwaukee for the 2 to 3 month period that was there. When I was there, I again knew the state, knew the city probably better than most, and saw opportunities for something a little bit more out of the box, like Housewives of Salt Lake City. There were some storylines that worked out, but so I work on other shows besides Top Chef, and so this is one of the ones that my agency was brought on to search for their vacation. And it worked. It was out of the box. It was fun. We were just talking about it backstage. And in a million years, why would you think Salt Lake City women would head to Milwaukee? But there was a through line. There was a Greek connection. There was a basketball connection. It ended up being a lot of fun. And I think it gives a little bit of a different angle to the city, a little bit of a luxury angle. And I really liked that for Milwaukee. I liked being able to raise the bar. Housewives tend to, you look at those, they're also very aspirational, and you tend to look at them like, oh, would I go on vacation there? Absolutely. You would go on vacation in Milwaukee, and shows like Housewives show that.
Yeah, we immediately, so Real Housewives stayed in the Kin, which is right downtown, a great hotel. Immediately, as soon as the show aired, we were getting emails and texts from the hotel GM saying that the bookings and their website traffic was off the charts. Like it was immediately. The next day, he was like, "We've already seen it. This traffic's here."
Housewives does that. That was the anecdotal stuff that I used to be able to tell, stories like that.
Yeah, so the anecdotal is great, right? Yeah, so the anecdotal is great. And
is great.
That's how what we had with you in the beginning of the project, right? Like, no, we know people come. We hear it all the time. The hotels that they stay in, the restaurants they go to that we feature, these will all get lift. But now, thanks to Adara, we can say, yeah, the lift is this. This is exactly the money you're bringing in to the community, which allows us to reinvest, right? So when we get the word that Real Housewives wants to come and we go to our partners, we can say, well, we know that we need to make this investment now. We can make this extra investment, bring another show, because we're going to see results. Here's what we saw before. We're going to see it again.
Yeah, and another extension of this as well that we're exploring with you and some other destinations is not just measuring the audience, but then retargeting the audience, which is something that I was never sold on the DMO side. I was in it 9+ years running digital marketing, but you think working with Visit Indy, targeting Indiana Fever games. Caitlin Clark is a sensation, right? Visit Indy doesn't want, they don't really care about driving people to the Fever game necessarily. They want to get those people who are consuming Caitlin Clark to come experience their destination. So just like we could, target people for the draft or Top Chef to help make sure that extension is there, it's a really powerful angle on this as well, as really tapping into that specifically, they consume the show, target them with some ads and get them over the finish line.
So we've got this perfect marriage of content that is going to be shown, content measurement that has come. I'm sure if I said, raise your hand if you'd like Diana to bring a show and Leroy to measure your content distribution, I'm sure all of you will raise a hand right now. And so I guess I wanted to leave it with what's next? What are you working on right now? What destination out there can capitalize on shows and productions you're working on?
Yep. So I'm always working on, I've got 2 dating and docuseries shows, and I'm working on the next 24 and 25 of Top Chef. 23 is almost contracted, knock on wood. So I'm always looking for new destinations, and like I mentioned in the beginning, it takes a minute. Of course, support is very appreciated, but a friend of mine in the audience mentioned to me today, what else are you looking for? And it really is, let me know your story as a destination. Without your story, we cannot produce a show. We want to know everything from what is the quintessential destination meal, what is the quintessential, or what ag is coming out of your city or state, to what, that grandma that's down the street that's making the greatest biscuits of her generation. What's her story? Because we want to know that too, just as much as we want to know about your Michelin star restaurants, your James Beard Award-winning chefs. Like, we want to know all of that. So your story is absolutely essential to tell our story. And I would say for the other shows, I love the out-of-the-box moments. I think that, yes, we go to a lot of hotels in Mexico because they're wonderful to us and they always make great content. But let's look at the out-of-the-box opportunities, because I think that really captures our viewers, and it does so much for the destination that you wouldn't expect. So that's what I will. And I will say the last thing for Top Chef and for all these shows, our give back, not only financially, but obviously with the ROI that you're seeing, it's substantial. And happy to talk more about that at any time.
Yeah, the beauty of it is when you are able to bring a show to your destination, if you don't typically host them, is those room nights you mentioned earlier,
Oh, yeah.
7,000 room nights.
Plus, yeah.
That's just for the production. So that's equal to recruiting a major meeting and convention or sports tournament to your city. So you not only are you getting the marketing and obviously the great ROI because you're going to hire Adara to prove it, but you also get room nights. So there's automatic ROI for your hotels. You basically get to double dip
Yes.
with the upfront room night of the production, and then you get to get all the marketing and the set jetting, the people coming back to the destination because they saw it on TV. And it's such a dynamic, powerful opportunity that I would encourage all of you to corner Diana, to corner Leroy, and get on this train because it's very powerful. And the ROI speaks for itself. What do you see for the future of this type of reporting? Because we were the first. Yeah. This is the first time you guys did it, first time that we know of it, that it's been done.
Yeah, Fort Worth is very engaged with us right now. Taylor Sheridan, for everybody knows everything that he's touching turns into gold right now, right? Yellowstone, 1883, Landman. Fort Worth is heavily involved with a lot of those productions. So they've got, the Film Commission is a huge piece of what they do. So I think, seeing those, established partnerships to be able to make sure we know that film tourism is important. We know that the local jobs for the production community is important, but just really emphasizing it with stakeholders that there is definitive trackable results. And just the last thing is just kudos to you. And I know this is going to sound self-serving because I'm on this side now, but it helped me when I was at Visit St. Pete Clearwater years ago. I took an off-the-wall meeting with Uber and was able to create a really cool campaign. I can't encourage you enough to just engage with people, stakeholders, vendors, who you may not know exactly what that fit is, and you did that. I pitched it, and you're like, well, great, Leroy, but what about this? You never know where it can lead or where that fit is. Sometimes it's magical. Yeah.
Diana, you probably think the same way when you're scouting for shows, right? You never know what might happen.
Absolutely. I mean, that has happened more times. We often ask, please show us your city because we don't understand it. We just had that conversation yesterday. I want to convince the producers this is the right place for us. Show us. Tell us your story.
We've got just a couple minutes before the end here, and I do want to open it up if anybody has any questions about the content we just shared, or the Top Chef hot takes. We got some over here. Stand up and shout it out.
Hey, I'm Stuart with Visionaries. Hi, guys. Leroy.
Stuart, you want to measure your show?
Yes.
Okay.
Both our shows. So we have two shows. One's already aired on the Cooking Channel, and one that's currently streaming on Peacock, Traveling the Spectrum. Go check it out. Can you measure shows that are already aired?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let's have a chat. And then Diana, would love for you to come visit Myrtle Beach. Would be a perfect spot for a lot of your shows. Production's a big part of our future, and
You were brought up this week, actually.
Good.
Yeah.
Give me a shout. Thank you.
I am Kelly, also from Visit Myrtle Beach. My question is for Visit Milwaukee. How did you rally the local community and kind of control the narrative that bringing a massive production that may constitute some challenges with traffic or closures would ultimately be good for the destination?
The first thing we did was we got out in front of it. So as soon as we knew there was the opportunity, we brought together about 50 stakeholders to our office who we thought would be involved in some capacity. Some of them were local brewers, some were obviously restaurateurs, a few of our hotel partners, and we, under confidentiality, said, look, this is what's happening. And when we get the go-ahead and we're going to do this, we need all of you to be champions right now. Diana shared some great stats that she had from previous viewership and previous seasons. We shared that. We were very upfront with them. So here's going to be the economic impact that we're anticipating, and we need you to be a champion. So as soon as it is, you're out there telling everybody what a great opportunity this is. So that helped big time. The other one was having Paul Bartolotta, who I mentioned earlier, already championing it. He had already been on the show as a guest judge in season, test your knowledge.
Don't.
It was with Natalie Portman. That's all I know.
He was also, I think, on Masters. I mean,
Yes.
guys, I'm old.
Yeah,
I
so
really don't
he was on
remember.
the previous season, so we leveraged him. So as soon as he knew it was going to happen, we had sort of our godfather of culinary culture in the city already on board, already ready to champion it, and then that immediately hit the ground running. And then we did immediate PR outreach to all of our media partners and said, this is what's coming, here's what's happening. When we could talk about it, and we did, they were immediately on board. Now, the thing we also had going for us is that Milwaukee doesn't do a lot of production. So as soon as anyone started sniffing it, right, like the site visit or anything, the calls were coming in because they were so excited that, because really what it did, what Top Chef did for our community was in many ways validate the hard work of the culinary industry for so many years. We had so many great chefs. We had chefs who moved to our city because they wanted to start a great restaurant experience. We had all these brewers who had been doing brewing for years, and we were the brew city, we're the city that beer built, but nobody really felt truly recognized as as a culinary city. So when Top Chef said yes, they were just over the moon, and that really helped. So engaging early before the announcement got that momentum going.
Just one more thing, and this is probably not what you're asking, but I'm going to tell you anyways. I have never seen a city more excited, and there's probably people here that have hosted us. I've never seen a city more excited than Milwaukee was. There were Reddits telling where we went to breakfast, where we went to producers. There were named, there were photographed. It was the most wild thing. There were watch parties all over town. Dare I say it brought your city together, maybe?
It did.
Okay,
It definitely
we're
brought
gonna
the
go-
city
We're
together.
going to go with that. Yeah, I like
our
that.
local magazine, Milwaukee Magazine, was hosting weekly watch parties. All of the media were doing reviews afterwards. We had several restaurants where the judges from the show
Oh, yeah.
went to the restaurants,
Changed their lives.
changed their lives. They weren't even really featured on the show.
weren't
They were just
featured.
restaurants that
One
the judges
episode.
went to because it went out onto social media so fast that now these small mom and pop shops have been around forever, just who did great food. Now we're local celebrities when they had just always been local partners, right? So it elevated everybody, and so that was really dramatic, and the community rallied behind it. It was amazing. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Steve Cohen, Travel Portland, proud partner of Visit Milwaukee, client of Adara, recent host of Top Chef.
Pandemic episodes, yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's my question. So, as I recall, the season was completely different because you filmed during the pandemic, lodged at the Hotel Monaco, couldn't go shopping, we had wildfires. With all of that said, and recognizing the challenges that Portland tends to have, would you ever consider coming back to do like a more normal season there?
It's a great question. Maybe, yeah. Not no, but maybe. I will tell you, that goes down as a fan favorite season. And I don't know if it was and there's so many amazing chefs that came out of that season, so I hope that that's not considered a less normal season because it was so special in its own right. But maybe, yeah. I would love to see, I mean, I have big ideas and the network shuts me down, but I would love to see like a whole, we also did Seattle, and I, to this day, think, I think we could have done a better job with Seattle, but that's for drinks and coffee over another time. But I would love to see like a whole Northwest season. So maybe.
So you're saying there's a chance?
I'm saying there's always a chance, but don't knock your season. It was so beautiful,
Not
and
at all.
yeah, it
I
was
just feel
not
like
that
we-
you are knocking it, but
No,
yeah,
we just missed out on the exterior shots
Sure.
of the forest fires and what have you.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
It was a challenging season. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? One in the middle.
Oh. Oh yeah.
Hi, Michelle with Visit Oceanside. We have a fan favorite TV series that wrapped up a couple of years ago, Animal Kingdom, which lives in perpetuity, is streaming, and of course it has a crazy fan base on social media. So my question is, do you have plans to go back and visit the longevity of Top Chef streaming online to see how it affected Milwaukee long term, or are you like, we got our 100 days, we're good?
No, we definitely want to consider extending it out with Adara and tracking it further, because we know, especially when the new season drops again, it's going to reignite people wanting to sort of relive the previous season, those type of things. So we definitely are interested in continuing the tracking because it lives in perpetuity and it's going to go international. It's going to be on streaming thanks to Peacock and other services, right? So that's the other beautiful thing is that it's marketing that never dies. It's going to keep going. Whereas if you put it into a magazine or something that goes, right, it has its shelf life and it leaves. These shows are around forever, and new fans come on every season. People relive stuff. We have to keep tracking it because that's a great thing for perpetuity. And I would encourage you to work with Leroy and find out where you're still getting your streams and if you're still leveraging that information. I mean, we still have people talk about Laverne and Shirley in Milwaukee, and there's many people here in this room who were not alive when that show was on, right?
I can't measure that one.
That's right, you can't. And we did just launch our bronze Fonz cam. We have a bronze Fonz from Happy Days, because Happy Days was in Milwaukee as well. So we have people who come and still want to see the Fonz statue from Happy Days. People are going to want to come to the restaurants featured in Top Chef, or even the grocery stores that people went to, or the Riverwalk that they ran on during the season, right? Like these little nuggets, people are going to want to go there and do it because they're going to see the show tomorrow. They're going to see the show in 5 years. Maybe we'll get a statue of you in Milwaukee.
My mother-in-law would love that.
Yeah. Any other questions? What, far back there.
This way.
So I have a question regarding the size of the locations that you choose. I represent a community of less than 20,000 people. Is that ever something that you've considered when choosing a location?
So I would say for a season, can you tell me your destination?
Oh, I'm from York, Nebraska.
Okay. So probably not for a full season. We've explored like those big ideas that I mentioned. We explored like what a Midwest season, what a Great Lakes season would look like. The show is ever evolving, as you can probably tell. We used to just do cities, and now we do states. And this season, we're doing a country. But I would say no. Again, it would probably have to be encapsulated with either a Midwest season or a statewide season. But there's so much content that we need within each episode. There's 2 creative challenges. There's reality beat experiences. So that's the short answer to that question. But always happy to have conversations.
Yeah, and a good example is during the Wisconsin season, the show did go to Taliesin, which is a Frank Lloyd Wright house in Spring Green, very, very small community, rural location, not easy to get to in the state, but there was a whole episode surrounding that experience. So there is opportunity to showcase everything and anything when you have a full state partner.
Yeah. And then lastly, I feel like if there was something specifically that came from your town, let's say it was a specific ingredient or a really unique produce item or whatever it was, or dish, we can always feature it. While we may not be able to go there, like we did with cranberries and we did with cherries, while I may not be able to go there and bring 80 to 100 people, we can always talk about it on set. It's a little bit of a different equation, but again, not impossible.
Okay. Maybe one last, if anybody, I don't want to leave anybody out, but I think we've gotten all the questions. Nope. One more? One last one?
Hi, I'm with Discover Kalispell, Montana. I'm glad that you brought up Yellowstone. I think it's interesting for us, just met with some of the local pushback on the show and just kind of brand perception. So curious as a DMO, maybe what part you had just from, a brand perspective and maybe how you worked with, the producers to kind of make sure it feels like your destination story is told.
Yeah, that was telling the right story of Milwaukee was probably, I was pretty adamant about it, right? We were pretty strong about wanting to make sure that we had, I think we asked for 2 chefs, had to be Milwaukee chefs. Like we were pretty specific on certain things. And that was a great negotiation that's like backroom negotiations in the contract, because all these type of shows require contracting and some legal services to make sure you outline those things. But the whole Top Chef crew was very accommodating. They were very conscious of wanting to tell the right story and showcase what we wanted them to showcase and tell the story that we thought was authentic to the community. And we really, really appreciated that. They didn't come in with any pre-plans. There was no like, we're going to talk about brats and we're going to talk about Miller High Life, right? That wasn't, and that's it. Like they wanted to know the story of the cream puff. They wanted to know the story of custard. And they went around to the entire community and got those stories firsthand from the local chefs and the hotel partners. And that was really, really fantastic, and we really appreciated it.
I mean, going back to the telling your story, we need to understand what is the story of the destination, and I would say 60 to 70% of our storylines came from those scouts, came from that investigation at first. So we're really reliant on that. But we're not here to upset anybody. There's been cases where we've worked with a state that has said very specifically, you cannot talk about this. I've had a city that said, you cannot use an umbrella. And I'm like, okay, what if we need to use an umbrella? Nope, no featuring umbrellas. So it's a long story.
It's a sunny destination. It never rains there.
Long story. I've got good ones, guys. But we're not here to upset anybody. And if there's always a conversation to be had. And if it's a touchy subject, we're not going to want to talk about it anyways. We're very factual. We make sure that we run our facts. If you say, oh, we're the #1 destination for this, well, we're going to check it out and make sure that that's actually true. But yeah, we're definitely not here to ruffle feathers. We want to celebrate, we want to encourage, and we want to eat.
And one final thought on that as well is that, obviously you can't control every production. And I know in my experience working with the Film Commission of Visit St. Pete Clearwater, there are going to be productions that want to take place in your destination that aren't necessarily positive stories on screen. It's not that it's bad about the destination, but the content isn't ideal. To me, that's an even stronger argument to measure the impact of that production, especially something like Yellowstone, because you damn well better believe the impact from that show is astronomical. And if there's one way to convince people to just tolerate something like that, it's money, it's economic impact, it's jobs. And that's what this type of report can help with. So again, obviously you can't go in there and tell, it's Taylor Sheridan, right, what to show, what not to use an umbrella. But the data can help smooth over some of those edges with some of those types of productions.
Yeah. We made so many suggestions, and I think I would bet that 90% of them made it into the show in some way. Like, we really want this grocery store on the south side, this Hispanic-owned grocery store, to be featured in some way. Like, went and got product there one time, and like they were so gracious of accommodating those requests all along the way. And even with the Real Housewives, it was the same thing. We're like, we really, I know that you've probably done casinos before, but we want to, our casino partners.
We made that casino happen.
We made that casino so happy, and now we're gold, baby.
2% was like your lack of a cameo?
Yeah,
that didn't happen?
I was in Top Chef, look for me, hot take.
Okay, I missed you, so I need to go back and rewatch the season.
It's literally 2 seconds, but it's there, yeah. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all the time today. We'll be around for more questions. Thank you.
Thank you.